Alrighty, thanks for tuning in once again. It's Ishmael Sistrunk from the St. Louis American and STLamerican.com here with Palmer Alexander, our Rams Roundup correspondent, and we're here with this week's Rams Roundup. Palmer, this week, obviously, the football season, at least for the Rams, is over. We're getting ready for the Super Bowl, but we're not here to really talk about Super Bowl today. We're here to talk about the St. Louis Rams and the potential relocation efforts of the franchise. Now, Palmer, we got a chance to go down to City Hall, talk to Jeff Rainford, the mayor's chief of staff, about the city of St. Louis's plans to try to keep the Rams in St. Louis, to try to build a stadium, and just to get the administration's thoughts on this process. But all at the same time, we're hearing news out of California about Stan Kroenke and moves that he's making there that make the Rams' status here seem in jeopardy. So, Palmer, give us a little bit of information on what's the latest with this whole St. Louis Rams relocation situation.
Well, I mean, starting off, in Inglewood, they got enough signatures to put it on the ballot so they can be able to vote on it. Initially, there has been some pushback in the city of Inglewood. I mean, Stan Kroenke still hasn't met with Mayor Butts in the city of Inglewood, and there's just some opposition mainly about zoning because the proposal site for the stadium being that close to the airport. I think it's going. I definitely believe that with that happening, and then with the Rams agreeing to a year-to-year lease, that pretty much put the Rams halfway out of the door out of St. Louis. So, as of right now, I'm sure that there are a lot of scrambling going on behind it. So they want to keep up a brave front, but I mean, as of right now, I mean, the Rams are pretty much halfway out of the door.
So, I guess it was big news whenever they got all the signatures, which you said will allow that to go on the ballot in Inglewood. But again, St. Louis, the city of St. Louis is making an effort. They have stadium plans. They unveiled that down on the riverfront. Talked about having a soccer team come in as well. I know that was a plan that you said that you liked. And it seems like St. Louis is willing to put up half of the money. If Kroenke takes the Rams to L.A., he's talking about building the whole stadium, funding the entire thing. So you don't think that gives St. Louis an upper hand, that the city is willing to give some money?
I think it still works for St. Louis. I mean, to a degree. I mean, he's more than willing to spend all this money out of his pocket to build a stadium in Los Angeles and obviously fixing a problem for the NFL. I mean, that's why he's not going to get a lot of pushback from the league because he's willing to use his own money. However, he's not willing to use none of that money in St. Louis. So I think therein lies some maybe a crease or a sliver of hope or daylight for the Peacocks and Blitz team to say, hey, Stan Kroenke is willing to use all of his money to build a stadium, and we're only asking him to use, a quarter of that amount that they're looking to spend out in Los Angeles, to build a stadium out there. And then the other thing too, when they're talking about building a stadium and making it a multi-use stadium and open-air stadium, I'm not understanding what is all the blowback about. People not liking and saying, well, we're not going to get a Super Bowl and all that other. I hear another other thing that these are historical landmarks and all this other kind of stuff. So, I mean, there are a lot of other different mitigating factors that kind of go along into this. But, Stan making that move, I think it helps St. Louis's chances of, if they can keep a team here, at least be able to get something in College Stadium.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess for me, when you look at it, I mean, St. Louis has been in a dome, since the team has been here. People are used to that here. Fans aren't used to outdoor stadiums. They're not used to going and sitting in, 20-degree weather, 10-degree weather to be outside supporting the football team. Some places, Chicago and places like that, Green Bay, they're used to that. They have that tradition, so they feel like, that's real football is when you play in the cold. But when you don't have that tradition, to take people who have been used to watching pretty much every sporting event outside of Cardinals baseball, but that is during the summertime. I think that's why you get the blowback there, because people just don't want to be outside and be cold and be uncomfortable. If that does happen, I say 10, 15 years from now, people will embrace it, and they'll feel like that's real football as well. But we just don't have that tradition, so I think that's the blowback there. For me, and of course I love the Rams. I want to see NFL football in St. Louis, but for me, it's kind of interesting because when you say that Kroenke's willing to spend all the money in LA, if I'm a lawmaker in St. Louis, I'm going to say, okay, well, if you're willing to do that there, you need to do that here, or, chuck deuces. So do you think it's a smart idea, or do you think it's necessary, or what, that St. Louis still does want to put up half the funding?
Well, I think it's a smart idea because, one, no football team in St. Louis means that the city and the county is going to be on the hook for $12 million. So that's the first and foremost most important thing. I mean, because the Rams lead no football team here, I mean, the taxpayers in this bill. I honestly think Stan Kroenke, he doesn't give a damn. He really about the city of St. Louis or the people that work the concession stands. He don't give a damn about them at all. He don't give a damn about Los Angeles. He doesn't give a damn about nothing but making money. If you look at all of these franchises to a degree have the Nuggets, the Avalanche, the soccer team. They're double. He doubled his money, but they're not going anywhere. So he's just a collector. He's not a fan. He can care less. And I think that I feel a lot of empathy. And I don't feel sorry for a lot of people, but I do feel sorry for the people that I see, walking to the dome that are working the concessions. Patting us down when we go inside there. I'm thinking about those people that's on the Metrolink. But like I say, I think it's deep. It's more deep rooted than that too, Ishmael. I really think it is, and it's personal. It's really personal.
Personal for you or personal for him?
Personal for both. Personal for both. For one, he's all about padding his pockets. And he doesn't care who he steps on, to make that happen. And then for me, seeing how this thing unfold, and again, going back to when the Cardinals left in '87, just that empty feeling, and remember how dead downtown was. And I think that when the Rams came here initially 20 years ago, it was almost it was a rebirth. It was almost like a renaissance to a degree. Not just with pro football, but the downtown area to a degree. So I just feel bad about this whole situation. I mean, I don't even know how they expect fans to actually want to buy season tickets, have some interest, what's going on with off-season moves and things of that nature. I mean, nobody gives a damn about that no more because he doesn't give a damn. The Rams are like literally in a lame duck situation, and who knows how this whole situation gonna play out this year. I just hope that Peacock and Blitz can just continue to keep moving forward because if I'm a Rams season ticket holder, I'm flipping the Rams the bird because the Rams have flipped them the bird.
Well, and that's an interesting part of the situation. The fact that there's really no trust, that the Rams are going to stay, or not a whole lot. Well, one thing I'll say, I don't think it's personal for Kroenke. I don't think anything's personal for him. Like you said, he's about the bottom line. He's trying to make money. So, yeah, he doesn't care about the people here. He'll, if you're arguing in his favor, you may say, okay, they're taking jobs from St. Louis, but they're going to give people jobs in Inglewood. So for him, I think it's the bottom line is the bottom line, basically. So I don't think it's personal, but he is a cold, calculated businessman, or as they say, where he just wants the money. Now, for the fans, it is interesting, and I wonder if that's part of the master plan where Stan Kroenke's been very silent throughout this whole ordeal. He really hasn't talked to the media at all. But I wonder if it's part of the master plan to start making these moves, leaking out this information. Therefore, the public will get dejected. Fans aren't going to show up, and then he'll have that to take to the NFL and say, "Hey, look, they're not showing up. We can't fill the seats. You know, let us go to LA so we can start to make that money." Seems like a little bit of strategy to me.
Into that, he is very cold. He is very cold. He's very calculated. Since Georgia Frontier was on her deathbed, he knew exactly the direction that he was going to go in. When Khan had stepped in and said, "I'm interested in buying the Rams," and there was a lot of blowback because there were a lot of people that didn't like Khan because of the fact that he was a Saudi. Okay. So a lot, and see, here lies when you talk about race, how people start coming out of woodworks when Khan had interest initially into the Rams. Nobody wanted him to own the damn team because of his background, because of his heritage, okay? But when Stan and his push broom mustache comes along and wants to buy the team, everybody's happy. But now, little do they know, he had every intention of taking his team to Los Angeles the whole time. Everything, Ishmael, has been perfectly orchestrated by Stan Kroenke. The hiring of Jeff Fisher, the hiring of Les Snead, all of that. You got to factor that in because Jeff Fisher, that's why his job is so secure, because he can help the Rams transition or move to Los Angeles. He's done it before. Les Snead, this is his first job as a general manager. You think that he's looking around for other jobs? No, his job is secure. Because the Rams were moving the whole time because this was calculated by Stan Kroenke, and it'd be hard to convince me otherwise.
Yeah, and when you talk about Khan, that was one thing that I noticed early when he emerged as a candidate to buy the Rams. He said right off the bat, that he wants to keep the team here. He is a big fan of the area, and you could tell that it was his dream to have the Rams, to buy the Rams and leave the Rams in St. Louis, to develop the Rams in St. Louis. Kroenke has really never said that. The entire time that he has owned the team, he's probably given a little bit of lip service about the St. Louis area, but he's really never displayed that commitment for the Rams in St. Louis. So it is a shame that Khan was not able to buy them and was kind of backdoored in that deal by Kroenke. He now has the Jacksonville Jaguars, which there's been some speculation he could try to move them back here, but I believe that he's under commitment in Jacksonville for the next 10 or 20 years now, something to that extent, so that may not happen. But that leads me to a question. Do you think, we talk about the stadium plan, and you said the Rams have 1 foot out the door already. Do you think it's feasible that the Rams will have an opportunity to get another team if the Rams leave? Because you got the Cardinals who left back in the 80s to go to Arizona. Now, if you got the Rams here and they leave, how does St. Louis justify to the NFL giving us another team?
I think the one way they can be able to justify that is, you look at the track record of this team. Have they been successful? What direction has the franchise gone in since Stan Kroenke assumed 100% majority ownership of the team? They haven't went anywhere. They haven't come close to going. They still keep putting asses in the seats. So when you're losing and you have a history, a chronic history of losing, and you still, filling the stadium up to almost 90% of the capacity. Fans have done their part. He hasn't done his part. He hasn't done anything to assure the fans that he's going to do possible You know, he didn't even say anything remotely close to that, to what he wants to do and his vision for the St. Louis Rams. His vision for the St. Louis Rams is to move them back to Los Angeles. That was his vision.
Yeah, so it seems, and I mean, St. Louis is, Los Angeles is, a top market, when it comes to TV and things like that. That said, they've never really been consistent in supporting a football team. They've had football teams come and go, pretty much since the beginning. But when you look at the way that teams are being valued, and especially, I'm sure Kroenke's looking at, okay, the Clippers sold for $2 billion, or, these teams are starting to sell for more. So just by moving the Rams to LA, he probably doubles the value of the franchise just by being in that market. So from a business perspective, I understand. For me, and I always, like I said, I'm a supporter of the Rams. I love having football here in St. Louis, but for me, there does become a point where it's just not worth it. And it seems like if this is what it's going to be like, where we basically have to build a stadium like we did for the Dome, where we basically the city covers 100% of the cost, it's really not worth it. I'll go just like NBA. I go by favorite players. I've been a Dallas Mavericks fan for the past, 10, 11 years, even though I'm nowhere near Dallas. Or I used to be a Bulls fan, or I used to be, and bounce around. If I had to do that for the NFL, there's enough talent. It's still going to come on TV every Sunday, so it's not that big of a deal to me. Not if you're going to, again, put yourself in a position where you're financially strapped, and the city is suffering because of that burden.
I'm in total agreement with that. And just talk about the Edward Jones Dome, the whole Super Bowl. When the dome was built, okay, it wasn't built with the intent on maybe possibly housing the Super Bowl. If you notice, normally when teams move into new bowl, is pretty close to follow. It happened in Atlanta. You saw that in Atlanta. You saw that in Detroit. Well, it's going to happen in Minnesota. It happened in, okay. So when the Rams went into the Dome 20 years ago, there was no hint of winning the Super Bowl on the horizon. It was some pipe dream. Okay. First of all, they didn't have no place to tailgate. Nobody has a place to tailgate. You got pools of who knows what on those gravel parking lots, adjacent from the stadium. They just built the damn dome, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? Nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Just put the dome there. Okay. You have to do more. So now we're in 2015, and then they talk about an open air stadium, and people are bitching that, we're not going to host a Super Bowl. We're not going to get any Super Bowl. You know what? So damn what, you're not going to get the damn Super Bowl. What's more important, one game, okay, or having a stadium where you this I can't imagine. I never thought that all these people whining and bitching about a Super Bowl because they want to open that garbage. That's nonsense. There's an open air stadium in Tennessee. There's an open air stadium in Cincinnati, Cleveland. Going down the line, Kansas City. When Kansas City wanted the renovations on Arrowhead Stadium, they had dreams of hosting a Super Bowl. It didn't happen. There's never going to be a Super Bowl in St. Louis, so people just get over that, because that is absolutely ridiculous thinking that St. Louis had some damn Super Bowl. Give me a bleeping break, man. Give me a break. St. Louis, they never even hosted a damn WrestleMania, and St. Louis is supposed to be the quote-unquote the Mecca of wrestling. WrestleMania, get out of here, man. That pisses me off, man. That really pisses me off. Just how bitchy and why state butt is hurting because it's an open air stadium. So damn what? The bottom line is you want to keep a football team here, and you got to have an open air stadium to make it happen. And that's the choice the Rams going to have to make, or whoever here. But I don't want to sacrifice any more of my taxability, just to make some other team comfortable, man. That's just like giving a chick your whole damn check, you know what I'm saying, and you leave yourself with nothing but the lint in your damn pocket. Ridiculous.
Tell us how you really feel. Palmer brought up the WrestleMania and giving women money. Man, it's for me, when it comes to the dome, when it comes to talking about the dome, and I understand fans who want better, like the ideal situation, I guess, you want to do it right. Like part of the reason that we're in this situation now is because, the people, the politicians and stuff were desperate back then. They basically gave the Rams everything they wanted, and they tried to skimp on building a stadium. They tried to do one on the low. I think if St. Louis is going to have a team, or if St. Louis is going to have a stadium, you need to find the right owner who's going to spend money and do it right. If you can do a retractable roof stadium, yeah, that's double the cost, but that also gives you much more revenue generating opportunity because you can close that top during the winter and during bad weather, and you can not just for a potential Super Bowl, but also for conventions and things like that. So I want to see, if they're going to do it, I want to see them do it right, whether it's open air or whether they have a retractable roof. I want to see it built properly, not with just, okay, let's try to spend as little as we can, because we even saw when Busch Stadium, when they renovated Busch Stadium, the initial plans had Ballpark Village built up, and there were businesses and hotels and restaurants and everything, and that took years for them to make Ballpark Village, and it's just a shell of what it should have been. It's a nice place, but it's basically just a big space with some clubs in it, where before they talked about having apartments, they talked about having restaurants, they talked about having all these different businesses, and they never built it up. St. Louis has a history of doing that, of building stuff, on the low, and then 10, 15 years later, when it's not panning out, they say, oh, man, we got to do something different. No, just build it right when you build it the first time, so that what you have is lasting. Future-proof it, if you will.
And listen, when we talked with Jeff Ranford, a week or so ago, and the idea of once this gets built, it's going to be forever. There are not going to be any more new stadiums being built downtown. To disagree with somebody about, well, why put it on a riverfront and all this other kind of stuff. You know why? Because ain't a damn thing on a damn riverfront. Nothing but floating docks and all kinds of whatever debris. So if they can spruce that part up, less paralyzing. I mean, what's going on with the city, and why the city wants those? You know why? Because the city needs a damn facelift. That's why they're going to do that on the riverfront. You got that brand standing Mutual Bridge, right? So why the hell not put the stadium right there? All this, I can't believe something on a regular basis, and my patience is really running thin, Ishmael. I mean, I'm just like, come on, people. Get with the damn program, okay? There's how many different aerial shots of Busch Stadium and Union Station that you try looking at every time the damn NFL comes to town. I mean, the president is no longer there. The Admiral Casino is no longer there. There's nothing there. So why is certain people having such a damn issue about them putting a stadium there? You wasn't worried about it when you was taking a shortcut down Broadway to avoid it. So why the hell you worried about it now?
And maybe that's why they don't want it there, because there's nothing else there. The thing for me, if you're gonna put the stadium on the riverfront, You got to do something, you know, and I know AB has invested a lot of money in helping our water supply, which is why St. Louis has some of the best tasting tap water around. But you got to do something. You need to drop some chlorine tablets or something in that river, man, because you don't want to see in the background of every game this muddy, dusty, dirty looking river. So they're going to have to spruce up that area. They're going to have to figure out some kind of way to make that river look fresh and clean like the land of milk and honey or something, because the way that riverfront looks right now is not all that appealing.
Yeah, and you can actually smell the damn water. You can smell it. Okay, you can smell the catfish urine in the water. I mean, so they gotta find a way to spruce it up. And listen, I wouldn't want no bleach tablets in that water, because if you was to see what was really down there, I tell you what, it'd be a lot of people buying some damn fish you get from Cabela's, and you'll never be able to get to a coin store at your nearest Snooks. No way in hell.
All right.
All your loose change will be at the bottom of that.
All right, Palmer. So let's go cut and dry. Wind up here. Do you think the Rams? How long do you think the Rams will stay in St. Louis? It sounds like you think that they're leaving. Obviously, they're going to be here for the 2015 season. What are the chances beyond them? Will they be here in 2016? Will it be 2017? Or do you think eventually Jeff Rainford, the other St. Louis City officials, will be able to convince them to stay?
I believe as of right now, as we are taping this, the Rams are gone. They are as good as gone. And I hope that Ranford said all the right things, and I believe what he said. He was as transparent as he could be. I hope that at the end of the day, the Rams can get this, not the Rams, Peacock and Blitz, they go ahead and get the ball moving, and they can start breaking ground down there as soon as possible. And if the Rams leave, I appreciate the memories, but that means another NFL team comes to St. Louis, and that's going to be permanent, then I'm all with it. And whether it's the Raiders, it doesn't really even matter anymore. You know, we just want a team that we know that's not going to leave. I'm a little bit agitated, obviously, because, one, you become attached to the team. I appreciate the success, the watching how himself, especially in the community, and Ricky, Kurt Warner, those guys really did a lot. They reached out to connect with the community, and the Rams they just seem so cold now. And it's like if it wasn't for the greatest show on turf, hey, I'd probably say the hell with them too.
Well, I agree with you. I think the Rams, obviously, like I said, they're going to be here in 2015. They may even be here in 2016, just depending on, it takes a while to build a stadium, even in LA, and, are they going to play in a temporary place? So I'm going to say the Rams will be here 2 years, but I think they're probably gone, and I think it'll be a while before the Rams or before St. Louis gets another team. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully this is all a big ploy. We know that Stan Kroenke, will use any amount of leverage that he can, and I wouldn't even put it past him, for starting this process to get the lawmakers in St. Louis to be like, okay, we got to give them more, we got to give them more. That's always a possibility, but the way things look, the Rams are probably headed out of town either next year or the season afterwards. For me, if they do, like I said, I'm not going to cry. For a long time, I'm like, no, we got to fight, we got to keep the Rams, but at some point you have to look at, you're giving billionaires all this money. You're building a stadium for billionaires, for people who don't need it. And at some point, you have to say, well, to hell with it. So if St. Louis has to be that place, then, so be it. Anything else that you want to say, Palmer, before we wind up here?
And the other thing is that a Ram official said off record, the new stadium proposal on the riverfront is parallel to the proposals that the convention center initially gave them, $2 million in renovation costs. And the Rams look at the new stadium proposal as a parallel proposal to the other one. So therefore, they don't really care the new stadium proposal. They can care. So if you feel like there's something positive going in the direction of St. Louis, they all urinate on whatever, come forth, who said is coming forth out of St. Louis, urinates on it constantly, consistently. He does that. He does that to alienate the fan base so people won't show up. He does that to piss people like me off that actually care about the team, and I care about the people that work inside the dome. I know a lot of people that work inside of there. So it's a hey, this is business 101. I gotta respect the game. That don't mean I have to like it.
All right, so Angry Palmer is back, folks. You've seen him in prime form here today. That's it. That's all we got for today. Once again, if you have not seen the interview with Jeff Rainford from the mayor's office, I'll link it at the bottom of this video. Make sure you check that out because it is an interesting article, and he gave the administration's point of view and the things that they're trying to do to keep the Rams in St. Louis. But right now, as Palmer said, as we speak, it looks like those efforts will be futile, but there's always so many layers to this thing and so many twists and turns that I'm not going to say definitively, but that's how it looks right now. But again, I'm Ishmael Sistrunk from the St. Louis American here with Palmer Alexander III, and this is your Rams Roundup. We'll see you next time.